Hello and happy birthday, Libra. Heather here with Astrology with Heather.com, and this is your forecast for the solar year ahead based on your solar return. And so I've been doing these forecasts one per month for each sign for your birthday month. And so this is going to be the forecast for your birthday in 2019 all the way through to your birthday in 2020. And this is going to be an abridged version of the much lengthier, more detailed 2-hour solar return yearly forecast that I have available for you. The link is down in the description below. It's available for immediate download, and I go really in depth about all of the different aspects and also your general solar return energy based on your birthday. And so this is a great forecast especially for Libras who don't know their birth time, because no birth time is required for this. We don't need to know your rising sign. This is all about you and your sun and your energy for the year ahead. And so that being said, this video should still help you to navigate the most important energies. It doesn't go into quite as much detail, but this is my little gift for you guys. So for Libra sun signs, this coming year, you're going to have a combination of challenging and more beneficial energies. And not that the challenging energies aren't beneficial, because I absolutely believe that they are. But you're going to have some things that are going to come a little bit more easily to you, and other areas where you're going to be faced with a little bit more challenge. And so at the start of the year, all the way through to the start of your solar year, all the way through to March of 2020, you're going to have Saturn in square with your sun. And for some of you, you've already been experiencing this. You've already had Saturn squaring. Actually, for all of you, you've already technically had Saturn squaring your sun by sign-based aspect. But some of you are going to have this coming exact this year. And I talk about who's having what exact aspect again in that lengthier forecast. But and there are free resources online to look that up too. But everyone's going to be experiencing this who has a Libra sun to a certain degree. The ones who have it exact this year will experience it much more strongly. And so this is a time where you're going to be facing a little bit more challenge. This is, it represents a point in a cycle. So you had this point in time about 7.5 years ago, where the sun, or when Saturn in the sign of Libra came into a conjunction with your sun by transit. And so that would have been a time of I'm like jumbling my words, of increased hardship, where you would have had to take on a lot of responsibility, where you would have felt maybe burdened or limited or restricted in some way. You might have felt frustrated because there were a lot of things that you really wanted to push forward with, but maybe there were delays or blockages to you accomplishing your goals. This would have also been a time where you had to deconstruct and let go of certain responsibilities and reconstruct and build and take on new responsibilities in your life. And so whatever it is that you created for yourself, maybe in your career or in your family life or in your relationships around that time, whatever struggles you faced and whatever you built as a foundation for growth for the future, this is a crisis of you committing to whatever it was that you initiated in that time frame. And so you might experience a different variation of similar energies. You might experience a continuation of challenges that maybe weren't met fully, or that you didn't deal with appropriately, or that you didn't take responsibility for. Anything that you didn't really work on and wrap up at that time, anything that you really didn't work hard on, that you needed to work hard on, that's going to come back around. This can also be an energy of where missed opportunities from that time period might come back around, especially opportunities to take on additional responsibility that might actually be really good for you. And so an example of this would be maybe a job opportunity came around at that time, but you felt like you were too overwhelmed because you had too much burden and too much on your plate already, and so you turned it down. But maybe that type of job was part of your path. It was in alignment with your soul's expression of purpose, because that's what, the sun represents. And so this time around, you could have an experience where a similar job comes back around, but it might be harder this time, because when we have this first quarter square, it's you having to deal with those same lessons. And if you didn't learned those lessons, it can be a little bit harder to deal with. So it might come back around, but it might be harder for you to get your foot in the door. You might have to work harder. You might have to start at like a lower rung in the company than you would have had to last time. Things like that. It might take a little bit longer and you might have to work a little bit harder, but you'll still be able to take hold of that opportunity if it does come back around for you. This is also a time in general where you're going to feel much more limited, restricted, challenged, where you're going to feel those roadblocks again, where you're going to feel the burden of limitation and restriction and responsibility. This is a time where you have to take stock of your responsibilities and decide if these are things that you want to carry with you moving forward, or if these are things that maybe you should work on letting go of. And I say work on letting go of intentionally, because with Saturn, it's not just you purge everything and like leave a big mess for other people to clean up. This is about you having to put in the work, put in the effort, take responsibility for what you created, and tie up any loose ends before you move on. And also you might have to build new structures and responsibilities in the place of the old ones. And so it's going to be a process. It's not going to happen all at once. That being said, this can be a very rewarding time where you can achieve a lot. You might face challenges, but you'll overcome those challenges and you'll grow through that process and you'll create a better foundation for yourself. This is really you looking to the next 21 years of the rest of this Saturn cycle and what you want to build and what you want to continue on with. If what you have created for yourself, you want to carry with you for the next 21 years or not. And so that's going to be part of this year for you guys. The other energy that's a little difficult that's already been playing out is that Pluto in the sign of Capricorn. And you've had Saturn, South Node, Pluto, North Node squaring your sun already. So this is an energy that's going to continue for a couple of years with Pluto. And so this is an energy where you're going to have to really figure out what you truly desire, what your soul really wants. This could be a crisis of identity. Anything that you're doing that is not in alignment with who you truly are and what you truly came here to do, you're not going to be able to continue on with it. It's just going to be psychologically impossible. And so you're going to have to come to terms with what you've created in your life, what roles you've taken on that maybe are not in alignment with your true desires or what your soul came here to accomplish in this lifetime. And so that can be a little bit difficult. But this is also a deeply transformative time. This is a time where you are going to align yourself with that path, with that purpose, with that sense of desire and passion about everything that it is that you're connecting with in this lifetime, because it's going to be impossible to do otherwise. And at the end of this transit, you're going to feel very empowered. You're going to feel like, wow, I let go of all that stuff that I had such a psychological and emotional attachment to that was not a part of me. And now I have all this space and I can do what I want with it, and I can really focus on who I truly am and what I truly desire and what I came here to do. And so, even though it's challenging in the process with Pluto transits, usually the end result is you feel empowered, you have this space to create, you can really focus on your passions. The other thing that's going on is that Jupiter will sextile your sun this year, and then it'll square your sun. So at the start of this solar year for you, you'll have Jupiter in sextile with your sun. Jupiter in sextile with the sun helps you maintain a sense of optimism throughout those difficult transits I just talked about. So you'll feel, even though there's a lot of difficulty or challenge coming up for you, or you have to work harder at something, you'll feel optimistic about it. You'll feel like you have a sense of perspective as to why this is happening and what this is leading you to. So it gives you that sense of perspective so you can take a step back and look at it more objectively, and so you can see where this is all headed, so it makes it seem more worthwhile to put in the effort right now. It also makes you more optimistic about what it is that you're doing, so you'll be more apt to accomplish your goals, and you won't feel like down and dreary and melancholy so much so like you normally would with a Saturn square to your sun, because Jupiter's uplifting you. So you'll have times where maybe it feels like it's so hard and you don't want to keep going with this, and then Jupiter will come in and say, hey, look at the bright side, look where this is headed, look at this thing that you accomplished because you put in the work. And so it gives you that optimism. Jupiter also protects you, and so it helps to ensure that whatever's going on is going to be in your best interest, even if it is challenging, and that the end results will ultimately be positive regardless of what you're going through in the moment. And so I like when there's a combination of Jupiter and Saturn, especially when Jupiter is in positive aspect. Later on, at beginning in the fall of this year and all the way through to the rest of your solar year, Jupiter will start to square your sun. And that's still an optimistic time, but it's a little overly optimistic. This is a time where your goals, ambitions, dreams can be larger than life. And so the result of this usually ends with objectively positive things. So you can create a lot of success in your life. You can accomplish your goals to a certain, well, you can accomplish a lot of great things, but those things that you accomplish might not meet your maybe overinflated expectations for the situation that you're embarking on. And so from the outside, it'll look objectively positive, like you accomplished this, you got that promotion, you did that thing, but it might not meet your expectations for what you wanted to accomplish in that time frame. It doesn't mean you won't accomplish those things. It might just have been like the time frame, like maybe the time frame was unrealistic. You thought you could do all these things and you fell a little short of that, but you still accomplished a lot. So focusing on what you did accomplish is the best way to utilize that energy, as opposed to focusing on where you feel like you fell short. But this is a time where you can accomplish a lot, and a lot of really good fortune can come your way. The other thing with this energy is it's a good time to kick back and relax to a certain extent, but for some people it can make you lazy or overindulgent, and you can miss the benefits of Jupiter that way. And it can also cause a mess. So if you're overindulgent, if you're really lazy during this time, because it can be a more lackadaisical time frame where you just feel like kicking back, and if you need that, if you need a vacation, great, you can use it for that. Just don't overdo it and neglect your responsibilities in the process, because when Jupiter stops squaring your sun, you're going to have a bit of a mess to clean up. You'll have a hard transit from Saturn or something that'll come in, and it'll be like, hey, look what you did that. You have to fix that. So you want to make sure that you're just not negating all of your responsibilities. That's the main takeaway. So that's follow through pretty much the whole rest of your solar return year. And then the last thing I wanted to talk about is that for some of you who were born within the first week of Libra season, you're going to have Saturn actually trining your sun on and off throughout the second half of your solar year, so March onward. And so that's actually going to be a huge relief. And this is coming from someone who just finished this energy with, I had Saturn squaring my sun at the time of my Saturn return, and then I moved on last year to Saturn trining my sun, and it was like I was accomplishing so much, but it didn't feel like I was working as hard at all. Like it felt like it was just natural. It doesn't feel like work when Saturn is trining your sun. You still have to work at things, but you accomplish a lot, and you create really tangible, real effects from the work and results from the work that you're doing, but it doesn't feel like you're toiling away. It doesn't feel like you're having to face all these challenges. It just comes really naturally, and it's a natural progression where you're making these efforts without feeling like you're making these efforts, and you see it really steady, gradual progress. And in the moment, it might not feel like you're accomplishing that much or you're working that hard, but when you look back on it, you're like, wow, look at all that I did this year. That's crazy. It didn't feel like I was doing all of that, but look what I accomplished. And so I really like that energy. That's a really nice energy for the year ahead. So yeah, that is my little forecast for Libra. Some of you might have some eclipses coming up squaring your sun, and I talk about that more in depth in the forecast, and I'll talk about that in the weekly forecasts as those come up as well. But yeah, so if you want to get the extended version of this, over 2 hours of information in video form, and also PDF files with keys and timestamps and dates and different additional insight that can help you to get a more detailed, accurate forecast for your year ahead. The link to do so is down in the description below. And thank you guys so much for watching this video and supporting my work and subscribing to this channel if you haven't already done so. And I will see you guys next month for Scorpio. Bye.